Good morning, or depending on you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Voice of Radio. So today, I want to ask a question about that lovely special art Tyranitar card which has come around in battle styles. You see, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll have a bit of a chat about the Empoleon as well. You see, we don't have a quote-unquote money card in battle styles. If you go back to Vivid Voltage, we had the Rainbow Rare Pikachu VMAX, which was clearly the money card. If you take a look at Darkness Ablaze, we had Tyranitar VMAX. If you have a look at Shining Fates, we've got the Rainbow Rare. No, we don't. We have the Shiny Charizard VMAX. So you know what? A lot of the sets have these money cards. Well, since Battle Styles came out, this really has been the card that I've seen people really posting about, that people have really been trying to get their hands on, the one that everyone has been a little bit excited about. So I figured, well, you know what? Might be an idea if we go and have a look around at some sites and try and figure out the actual value of it. We've seen videos like this in the past. I've made them on this channel, and they've been moderately popular, so I thought this might be a fun thing to have a little bit of a look at here. So if we head on over to TCG Player, and let's be perfectly clear, I am not in league with any of these websites. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm just using them because they're decent places to look up information. There's no cooperation in any kind of formal sense, but it'd be rude if I didn't tell you what sites I was looking at. So if we head on over to TCG Player, there is a Tyranitar V being listed at the moment. And the cheapest one we've got there is $147.50. Now, it's got the market price listed as about $140, which is all right. It's quite an expensive card, to be honest with you. And that seems like a pretty good starting point, right? Now, it says as low as 120, but like I showed you, the cheapest one on there was basically just shy of $150. So as a starting point, that looks like a moderately expensive card. If we head on over to Troll and Toad, now Troll and Toad are not a perfect one, but they're again a decent place to go and look it up. There are two that are listed on that website for $160 and $170. So we are a little bit above TCG Player here, but TCG Player is very much a marketplace where anyone goes and buys and sells. And although Troll and Toad does have other sellers on there, it is still far more of an actual shop. And we would expect a shop to charge a little bit more. So we've seen $150, $160, $170. Of course, it's interesting to note, this Tyranitar so far, although it's a very interesting card, 60 damage and discard the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, or 240, but you've got to discard the top 4 cards of yours, and it's single strike and very interesting, it really has not proven to be a particularly playable card up until now. It's one of those interesting ones where we'll have to wait and see. Now, as we head on over to eBay, do remember that it is sold listings that are the most important, because anyone can list a card for whatever they want, but it really comes down to being sold. And if we take a look at the most recent sold listings here, what we can essentially see is one sold for $140, and there was one bid. What that means is it was listed at a starting price of $140, and one person bid, and no one else tried to beat them. There's another one that sold for $183. Now, this actually was from Australia. No bidding here. And remember, the reason it's such a weird price, it's not a nice round number, is because it was actually sold in Australian dollars and converted. So that's quite a bit higher. There was another one sold on April the 6th, which had 17 bids, and went up to $168.50. Now, this kind of amuses me a little bit, because obviously we had one sold for $30 less because only one person bid. And the general theory here is, if you started at a high price, you're going to get fewer bids. If you start it low and you get a few people in a bidding war, you can actually end up with more money overall. Though obviously it's not guaranteed. there is a little bit of a risk there. If we take a look at the next 3 down, we're only going to look at a few here. We're not going to keep going. But what we see is one that sold for 175, and that was a buy it now. And a couple that were bid, one up to 125, one up to 112. Basically, they're all over the place. If you get lucky, you can get this for $120. If you don't get lucky, you're going to be paying up to about $180. And that really does seem to be the value of Tyranitar V here. It really does seem like what you're doing is basically paying about $120 to $180. And I know that is a 50% difference. You know, you're talking half of 120 added on to get up to 180. But this is kind of the case with newer cards. Remember, Battlestars has been out for less than a month. And essentially what's happening is, although, yes, the product is hard to find, and yes, scalpers are out there, actually, product is getting out there. And people are buying it. And although it's selling out instantly and it can be difficult to find on store shelves, there's still quite a lot of battle styles out there. Which means that a lot of packs are being opened, and it means that a lot of these cards are finding their way onto the market. And when a lot of cards of the same kind all make their way onto the market at the same time, then what that means is you do get this big fluctuation. Some people get super lucky, and that's lovely for them. Some people don't get super lucky, and they end up spending, well, frankly, quite a lot more money than other people in an equivalent position. So yeah, gutted for them. Now, I did tell you that it really was Tyranitar that people seemed to be going a little bit crazy for, and that seemed to be the one where the price was jumping up. Well, seems at this stage that it's only fair that we do a little bit of a comparison. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this Empoleon has better artwork. It's got a mean foo and a phalanx on it. What more do you need to know? And Empoleon's just cooler than Tyranitar. And it's got a really nice ability that says when it's active, your opponent's basic Pokemon without a rule box, i.e. basic non-V, non-GX, etc., non-Prism Star, non-EX and expanded, I could keep going, you get the point, don't have ability. So it seems like a really good card. I've seen it in decks that have made top 16 at a 2,000 person tournament, for instance. It seems like a really playable card. And yet I told you it wasn't as sought after, and I meant it, because if we go and have a little bit of a look and do some comparisons here, and again, if we're going to do a proper comparison here, let's make sure we use the same websites, you are going to see a fair bit of a difference. So Empoleon there is listed with a market price of $43. Remember that Tyranitar had a market price listed of $139. And the cheapest Empoleon V, which is currently listed on TCG Player, is $50 plus a couple of bucks for shipping. Whereas if we go back to Tyranitar, the cheapest one listed on TCG Player was $147.50, i.e., looking at TCG Player, it would seem that Tyranitar is 3 times as valuable as Empoleon, despite being exactly as rare, and despite me think, well, as it stands at the moment, and we are early on in the format, Empoleon is seeing play in Rapid Strike Urshifu decks, and I am not seeing Tyranitar popping up in a lot of deck lists at all. It really does seem like Empoleon is the better card. Although do please remember, when we're looking at the really high-end collectible cards, playability is not as important by a long shot, because these aren't being bought to be put into decks, right? They're being bought to be put into binders and graded and all of that. If we head on over to Troll and Toad, there is one copy listed by Troll and Toad themselves for $50, which I kind of appreciate because that is directly in line with TCG Player. But again, Tyranitar V was listed at $160 and $170. So again, we're looking at about a third off the price here. That is a heck of a difference. And if we head on over to eBay, and once again, remember we need to look at sold listings, the 3 most recent sold were $35 with a bunch of bids, $40, which was a buy it now, but a best offer was accepted, so they didn't pay $40. They probably paid about $35. And one that was listed for $40 and sold with one bid for $40. And we're not going to keep looking through because they all just go around there. So it seems like Empoleon V, you're paying $40 on eBay or $50 from a shop. It's a $40 to $50 card. Why is Tyranitar somewhere in the region of a $140 card and Empoleon is a $40 card? When Empoleon is probably the more playable card, at least at this stage, and they are exactly as rare as each other. The only answer I can give you is people like this Tyranitar V card more. It is a more popular Pokemon, apparently, and it has better artwork of the passed out Tyranitar and the Tepig hiding behind a tree. That's not a Tepig, that's a Pignite. And it is, start to finish, right? I don't really know. It's either the Emboar line or the Empoleon line that is the best start to finish, but then Pignite's better than Prinplup, so no, I probably am going that line. I like me Pignite. I bought a plush when I went to Worlds in 2012 and it was lovely. My point is, for whatever reason, people are really valuing Tyranitar over Empoleon, but given that these were the money cards, so to speak, from Battle Styles, I thought it was only fair that we took a little bit of a look. And now we have. And I feel like we've done a pretty good job. But now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know from you guys. I want to know what you think about this. I want to know if you've pulled either of these cards. And I want to know if you've bought them and how much you paid. So let me know in the comment section. Get us. Me nice. Only if you want to tell me how much you paid, of course. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.